All right. Hello, everyone. It's that time again. I have this wonderful opportunity to talk to Danya. She has been a part of Detached and really have been so blessed to be able to work with you, Danya. I'm so happy that you're joining me here today. And really, what we want to do is just kind of talk you and what you've experienced, what you've gone through, and what you've learned, what you've gained, any of that. So I want to go ahead and start off with, where are you located, Danya, and actually what led you to find me in the first place?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I just put two things. Okay. I'm in Bakersfield, California. It's like kind of Southern California. Um, not the best town in the world. It's actually like the worst town in Bakersfield, in California. What led me to find you or take the class?
Actually, either one, but finding, sometimes it's interesting how people find me in the first place.
Yeah, I found you. I can't hear you. It says your
Okay, I heard you
microphone.
again. Yeah, I think we've got a little bit of a connection issue, but if you can try it again. So, where did you find me? What led you to me in the first place?
Okay. What led me to find you? Um, I don't hear.
Yeah, we might not be able to do this today. I think our connection might be too bad. It's unfortunate. Yeah, so I I can tell you're trying to answer my question, but you just haven't been able to get any connection yet. So let's try it one more time. What led you to me in the first place? What were you suffering from? What were you dealing with?
Okay, what led me to you? It was probably about a year and a half ago. Shortly after I started uh, reopening up to my abilities and stuff, I was having a lot of trouble with like dark entities, and my family has a lot of trouble. So like once I had thought I had a grasp on dealing with mine and getting rid of them, I had a local Reiki intuitive who was helping me with some low level stuff, and I thought, oh, I can do this now. So I went to my brother's to try and get rid of his, and then I was under attack for 10 days from a really big dark thing. And so I was like doing all kinds of research. What am I dealing with? How do I deal with this? And watching YouTube videos about demons and how to fight them off and stuff. And everybody's saying different things. And when I came across your stuff, because it's like, negative entity attachments and all that, I'm like, what does he have to say? And then for some reason, when you would explain about the negative entities, you had a different approach than most people do. And like the not having fear stuff, and I really, it like resonated with me, because from a young, not too young, but like 15 years ago, I would have dreams and get messages when dealing with dark things, and the main thing was fear, like not to be afraid. And but it's hard not to be afraid. Okay, just somebody telling you that, and you don't really know what's really going on. And so I started getting into your stuff. And your activations, especially your like negative entity activation removal. And I could feel it, like as soon as it would do it, like this release and stuff. And I just really trusted what you had to say, and that your approach to it was refreshing, and like probably the only approach that from anybody that I would listen to or check out that resonated.
Right. So, what did you find? I just think it's interesting. What did you find when you looked up and learned about other people's approach? I mean, what do you think is the big difference between what I'm doing and what most people maybe do?
Well, because like most, like the most that you hear is like don't challenge it. And I was really fear-based. It was a lot of fear-based, call Archangel Michael to help you, put a bubble around you to protect you, light some sage, do stuff like that, which I would do all that, but none of it would work. So I'd be like, okay, well, say the bubble doesn't work. Say Archangel Michael, maybe he's there, but he's not helping. Like, say maybe some people are just more prone to dealing with things. Like, maybe some people can do that and it works for them. Maybe some people don't have to do that at all because they're naturally protected or something. But I didn't feel like I was. It wasn't helping.
Yeah, and you hear that sort of thing all the time, right? Like, try this, do this. My favorite is put the salt on the windowsills and in the front of the door and have crystals and all that sort of thing. And it's I always find that to be comical because, okay, so the entity's like, well, we're going to go head through a window to get, oh no, there's salt, I can't go. And then they don't think that they could go through a wall, like, or go through the floor or go through the ceiling. I mean, why do they even have to move physically in the first place? Reason for that. So it gets into this funny, weird concept of, well, what are these things, and what do you believe? That's what really matters, because some people swear by those things, right? Some people say, oh yeah, you put the salt down, you do the thing, and you're totally protected, and it feels like for them that it totally works. But then you go, well, okay, maybe they're not actually having negative entity attachments at all, or maybe they believe so firmly that approach works that it does. And so, of course, you already know, what does that mean? What does that mean when somebody actually believes that the approach works and then it does? What's really happening?
Yeah, and I can't tell you how many times I've, in the middle of the night, sleeping in a ring of salt with a bowl of sage burning, crystals, black tourmaline, just wide-eyed, all the lights on, like, I've spent a lot of nights like that. And
right. And then you wake up, well, you don't even go to sleep probably, and you wake up the next day going, well, that was a waste of my time because that didn't work. But for those who do actually say or propose that it works because they believe it. And so then, you go, oh, well, what's really going on? This is belief. And once you have that belief, then what are you essentially doing? You're stepping into your power, right? So what do you think? Right. Well, like, what do you think has been the biggest opportunity for you to, like, step into your power and change the way that you've looked at the whole thing? Because you don't lay in bed with a salt ring around you and sage burning in a bowl anymore. So what was it that was the big breakthrough for you, do you think?
I don't know if there's been a necessarily big breakthrough. It's been kind of a progression, like learning to not be afraid. I've already been working on that, and I would think, like, when the sun's out, I'm like, oh no, I'm not afraid. But then something in the middle of the night, I might get a little scared. But I was already moving from being terrified to just being annoyed more. And then the last session that we had about the shadow man, I mean, that guy scares the crap out of me still. I mean, maybe not still, I haven't had another opportunity, but just hearing confirmation from you, like about the fear, and then the like being fear test and stuff like that. Like these are things that are already in my head. I think about, and I kind of know, but I don't know that I know things. But then when I hear it coming from somebody else, then it gives me the confidence to trust what I already know.
We all already have all the answers. All we have to do is start to trust those answers. And a lot of times when we listen to other people, they actually reinforce the fear-based approach, right? So it does make a huge difference to be able to go, oh, a fear-based approach is actually not going to solve anything. And there's a deep down knowing way inside me that just knows that to be true. So yeah, so that's amazing. So why don't you talk a little bit more about the shadow guy, because that was an interesting experience. And I think a lot of people have that, especially because it's sleep paralysis. So can you talk a little bit about your sleep paralysis experiences?
Well, that started when I was 14. The first time I had woke up, you wake up without waking up, and this buzzing and this humming, but it was mostly coming from one side, and I was frozen, and I could see his head, his shoulders, his body, like laying upwards where I'm laying down. And I had no idea what was going on. I'm 14 years old. And then he rolled into me. And as he rolled into me, the vibration and the loud buzzing noise just took over my whole body, and everything just went black. I couldn't see. I wasn't looking with my eyes. I see through my eyelids when I'm in that state. And then I was so terrified that I just said, "Oh God, Grandpa, Dad, somebody keep me safe." I wasn't religious or anything. And as soon as I said that, it rolled out. And then it was still there, and I still couldn't move. And then he started to roll in. I did get my arm up, but it still rolled in. And then I said the same thing: God, Grandpa, Dad, somebody keep me safe. Rolled out, woke up, terrified, screaming. My mom came in. I explained to her what happened. She's like, "Oh, that's just an OBE." And because she has those, and she gave me a book to read about it. I'm all, yeah, but there's a shadow dude there. Like, it wasn't just me leaving my body the way this book talks about. Like, I was afraid if I left my body, this thing was going to take my soul. I was going to disappear. People always thought, oh, they died peacefully in their sleep. I'd be all, oh, really? How peaceful do you think it was? And then throughout the years, so that started my experience with it, which set me off terrified. I never wanted to have this experience again. And then throughout the years, I'll do the sleep paralysis. And as soon as that happens, I associated it with the shadow guy coming to take my soul. So my whole life up until just like 2 years ago, as soon as it starts happening, I just start trying to fight out of it. And sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not, but usually, and he'll be like all creepy, upside down on the ceiling, like just waiting for me to leave my body, standing over me. And then my son started experiencing him at 8 years old, and we'll dream about him, have the same thing like pretty much at the same time. So that reinforced my fear. I told him, dude, that happens, you pull out of it, get one of your fingers to move, terrified. My mom he's like, I don't know if they stick with families or what, but I've been there for there's been, milk experiences with them. But the other night, last week, early morning, actually was the first time. Well, he would get physical with me. I started finally leaving my body, projecting my consciousness, lucid dreaming. There's a bunch of different things in that state. About 2 years with it, but now whenever I leave, like, he'll squeeze inside. It's a physical, like a hand squeezing you, or he would dab me real hard, and it would come out of it because I don't want him there. And then the other morning, I actually, I could feel him choking me, but it was the first time when I wasn't, oh, I'm gonna go rush back to my body and stop this, because where I was so awesome, in a place I'd been looking for, that I ignored him. I was like, I can still breathe. I can feel him choking me, but I can still breathe, so I'm gonna ignore him. And then he progressed from there and got with me, which freaked me out. I wasn't able to come all the way out of it though, so I just kind of just accepted it. So the more I tried to fight it, the scarier it got. But then, like, as soon as I kind of just accepted it, or just, this is happening and I don't know what to do about it, then it ended.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's, and there's a lot of people that actually report something similar to that. I mean, so first of all, it happens in a situation that, sleep paralysis. So you wake up and you can't move, and this is a normal human body experience, and I think all almost have it to some degree, that their bodies essentially shut down, and the control over your body is severed, so that when you're dreaming, you don't get up and run around and jump into a window or run into a wall or something like that. So we already have this kind of a physiological system in place that makes it so that when we wake up, we can actually still be in that physiological place, which means that we're awake, and the only thing we can really move is our eyes, and we can't move our bodies because that connection has been temporarily severed, so that we don't ruin ourselves, like I said. So in those situations, if you are connected to the spirit world, you're more likely to receive a visitor of some kind. That visitor is often a very high vibrational being that's come to help you. But if your frequency, if your situation is somewhat on the lower side, then when that being comes to you, that being might be of a lower frequency, of something that you don't really want to have anything to do with, and you don't really want to have to experience. And so then fear comes in. And then when fear comes in, what happens is we're giving that being our power. We're giving them our energy. So if you think about it like this, negative entities, spirit beings, shadow beings that are of that lower frequency really need us. They need to take our power or to borrow our energy. And when we give it to them willingly, oh my gosh, this thing's terrible and scary, then we are essentially feeding it that energy or feeding it that power. So if you can look at it and go, you know what, you don't scare me. I know the only thing that you can do is scare me. And so that fear experience is what you're going to use to take my power away. So I'm not giving it to you. Too bad for you. So when you had that experience, you were still dealing with something from your past. You still had a childhood trauma and abuse situation that you were suffering from. And so that entity reenacted that abuse scenario, that trauma. So of course, it tied right into your deepest fear for that moment. So now what you have to do is, all right, well, I can either try to just get over that fear, which is really hard to do because of when it's tied to a childhood trauma, or you can, okay, let's work on that childhood trauma, which is exactly what you and I did. And then that changed the way that you perceived and carried the emotion with you. So now we were able to release some of the stored emotion, that stored emotional burden that you were carrying with you all of that time. And then now you haven't had the shadow visitor come back because he knows that he doesn't have that fear experience that he's able to cause you to have for you to give him your power. So that was a really an amazing experience. And I really liked it because of the opportunity for everybody else to learn from your experience. So I really appreciate you sharing that with everyone. And so now hopefully you're able to go ahead and have that out of body experience without actually having to worry about this shadow being there to interrupt it. So you've been really cutting out lately. Hopefully you were able to hear most of that, but let's see if you were. No. Okay. Well, if you're not there, well, we did get to hear your story, so I'm very happy about that. And yeah, you can't get anything. Okay. Well, you know what? I think we still did something great here, and that was to have a little conversation. What did this turn out to be? Like a 20-minute conversation. So I really appreciate it, Danya. And, we'll see you in the class in the next 40 minutes. So anybody else who's interested there, the next class is starting on March 22nd to help people like you and like Danya deal with all the different issues that you encounter when you have negative entity attachments. There's going to be fear issues. There's going to be frequency issues. There's going to be mental issues, emotional issues, and so on and so forth. So that is something that we can definitely do to help. And so I'm going to put the detached link in the description here in the comments. And poor Danya. Well, we'll see everybody later. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys.